right on into it. I think we're live now.
Yeah, I see live.
Okay. I'm just looking for my live feed here so I can see questions coming up. I do not see it. I'm trying to find it. Where'd it go? I don't see it, but I know we're live. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. We thank you again for tuning in with us with the Legacy Business League. And we are here to help our community, our friends and family and entrepreneurs today. We have a special guest today, Mitch McDowell. And Mitch works for the Mississippi Small Business Development Center. They have several offices spread out throughout Mississippi, and they're sponsored or funded through Ole Miss, University of Mississippi up in Oxford. And Mitch comes with a plethora of experience. He has a bachelor's degree from LSU in multi-interdisciplinary studies with an emphasis in business. He also has a master's degree in entrepreneurship from Western Carolina University. He's been with the Small Business Development Center as the assistant director since 2010. Is that right, Mitch?
I came on board as a business counselor in 2010, and then from there I became a what we call a center director. I was a center director for the Gulf Coast office. Then I became a regional director where I oversaw a couple of different centers, and then right now I'm the assistant state director.
Got
so
it.
I'm primarily over kind of business services, so making sure that we have the different sub-centers around the state, and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're providing good services to our clients, making sure that we hit our SBA deliverables, those kinds of things.
Got it. And you guys, today we're talking about post-COVID-19 and where do we go from here as small businesses, and what's the forecast? How do we plan for the aftermath of this pandemic, and how do we recover from it? Or even how some of the conversation would be about, hey, I want to start a business. I want to capitalize on what I feel like I've been called to do as your entrepreneurship. So we are going to talk about this, and I know there's a lot of small business owners that are asking, have a lot of questions about what do I do, where do I go, how do I adjust and readjust, reposition ourselves to continue to be a great business for the community, for your family. And so Mitch is here today to talk to us about some of those and some of the forecasts, and maybe even some tips on some things to do to prepare, or even to try to bounce back. And I think that as a community, as a country, we do have a great bounce back spirit in us. And so Mitch, why don't you just start with tell us a little bit about you and some of the things that Mississippi Small Business Development Center do.
Well, background on me: before I came into the Mississippi Small Business Development Center, I was a small business owner. I was one of those people that I graduated from college and I applied for jobs, and the jobs I wanted I didn't get, and the jobs I didn't want they selected me for. Probably a number of you have kind of been through that experience. So from there, I decided, you know what, maybe I should go open up my own small business. So I opened up, I had a few different businesses. The first business I had, I didn't do anything right. Made every mistake in the book. And of course, I made zero money on that particular venture. Second business I had, I learned some tough lessons from the first one, made a little bit of money. And then it really wasn't until my fourth business that I opened up a health club on the Mississippi Gulf Coast in 1994. And at that point, I kind of figured this entrepreneurship thing out a little bit, small business, how to make money, and ended up my fourth business actually was a very successful business. I had that for 11 and a half, almost 12 years. And then Hurricane Katrina hit in August, it's August 29th, 2005. And then at that point, I had to decide, do I hold them or do I fold them? And after a lot of soul searching and praying and talking to different people, my family members, decided it was time to go do something else. So part of it was the market. The market, of course, was devastated, very similar to what's going through right now. But I also had to look at my own personal situation. I'm married. I have 3 kids. My daughter was 12 at the time, and I have twin boys, and I think they were 5.5 going on 6, and my wife was not working. So I got this business. I'm sitting here. Do I reopen? Do I not reopen? And then I looked at okay, if I reopen, I'm going to have to borrow some money, meaning I'm going to have to go back into debt. And I really wasn't crazy about doing that. And then the other thing was I was getting ready to have to sign another 5-year lease, which was going to require a personal guarantee. And my rent payment or lease payment per month was about $8,000 per month. So based on all that information, I decided it's time to go do something else. So I collected my insurance money. I sold all of my equipment and ended up teaching for a couple of years. And then I landed with the Small Business Development Center. So that's just a little bit of background on me.
Yeah, I mean, and Mitch brings a lot of information, a lot of experience with on going through difficult times as a business owner and whatnot. And so some of the things that we're going to talk about and what the Small Business Development Center provides for the community is we'll just kick it off and just say, hey, I have a passion for a new business. Really don't know. I just have a great passion for something, or I have an idea, and I walk into your center and I want to start a business. What is it that you guys do to help a guy like me that wants to walk in and start a business?
Okay, well, but now pre-COVID-19, we kind of segmented our clients kind of where I would say it's somebody that's pre-venture, which is exploring the idea of starting a business. Second one would be startups. These are people that, hey, I'm going to start a business, or I recently started a business. And then we have our in-business clients. Those are people typically that have been in business for about 2 years or longer. So if somebody is looking to start a particular business, we have something that's called a Business 101 series. These are workshops that are available online. And right now they're available online on demand. Okay. So we do starting a business first steps, and we talk about if you're going to start a business, we go in and talk about industry research that you ought to do, customer segmentation, how you're going to differentiate yourself from everybody else based on that information, kind of branding. One of the big ones is putting your team together. If I'm going to start a business, I probably need a mentor. Definitely need to hire a certified public accountant, and not my mom's brother's uncle who dabbles in books and does a little bit of bookkeeping. From the startup perspective, if I hit the go button, I'm going to start a business, I really need to bring in a good certified public accountant and have that person help me get my bookkeeping system set up, get me trained on the system, so that number one, I can, of course, do my taxes at the end of the year. But the other thing with that bookkeeping system is to make sure that it's set up that provides you as the business owner with information that allows you to kind of manage your business.
Yeah.
It's very, very important.
It is important. It's so important for that. Just to, when you're starting business up, that you have all of your, I call them some of your foundational pillars in place prior to the first day. Yes. Of
absolutely
up or providing service or whatnot.
Yeah. And in addition to that, within those workshops, and everything that we do in the workshop supports the one-on-one counseling that we do. So kind of what we like to do is if somebody is, hey, I'm thinking about starting this business, we have 3 on-demand videos, and I'll share my screen here in just a minute and show you how to access those videos. It's fairly simple. But that's all designed to support the one-on-one counseling that we do that follows the workshops, okay?
Yeah.
So within first steps, the other thing we go through is business setup. We talk about what should your business structure be? Should you be a sole proprietor or form an LLC or incorporate those kinds of things? And we talk about licenses and permits. You know, do you need a sales tax ID or not? Opening a business checking account, business insurance, and again, getting back to a good accounting system.
Yeah.
First steps is we talk about financing, kind of what are the lenders going to be looking for when if you go in and you need access to capital and you're going to be applying for a loan. So pre-COVID-19, that's a lot of what we did was access to capital. Help people getting together a good business plan with a solid set of financial projections. And I'll follow up with a little bit more information on that.
Yeah, yeah. And so let's hit the pause on that one, and now let's switch to you have a bunch of people that may want to start a business, and one of the questions I would have is this a good time to start a business? What is some of your
It depends on the business. It depends on the business. You know, and I do a lot of work with a lot of clients that are buying businesses. I worked with a client last week, and she just purchased a medical supply business.
Hmm.
I worked with a client out in Oregon, and he purchased 2 ServPro franchises. One of my clients, she owns a liquor store, and she's decided, hey, I'm you know, X amount of years old, I'm ready to retire. So she was on the selling end of this. Of course, liquor store are basically right now compared to pre-COVID-19. I believe that her sales have doubled. A lot of self-medication going on, I guess, at home right now. So certain businesses are doing very, very well. Other businesses are really, really having a rough time. You know, if you're in the daycare business, if you're in the restaurant business, any kind of business where you have a lot of people that are going to be gathering, you know, because of social distancing, you know, those businesses really, there's a lot that's up in the air right now. I had another client, he was working with him, he was set to close on a wedding venue. And of course you can imagine, okay, everybody piles into a wedding. Well, all of that has been put on hold. So some businesses are doing very, very well right now. Some are struggling, and then some are adapting. You know, that's a lot of what we're seeing. The marketplace is really starting to adapt with some of the new normals, what we call the new norm that's going on.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I like.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
sure.
I like the word adapting because of the new standard, the new way of living. Some people like to say the new normal, and being adaptable as a small business owner. I feel like it's very key to making sure that you cover your payroll and at least try to make a profit for a month or so. You know, so can you elaborate more on for a new entrepreneur right now that wants to start a business and they may have some experience, they may not in that industry, but being adaptable and understanding what they may have to forego at this time.
Yeah, a good example would be, let's say that I have let's say I have a restaurant, small restaurant. And pre-COVID-19, it was pretty much 90% of my business was walk in, sit down, and eat. And maybe 10% was takeout. Okay, well, they just come in, pick it up, take it home. And eat. You know, from there, I'm going to have to, if I'm going to have a good, viable business, one of the things that I'm going to have to do is to figure out a way that I can continue to, you know, make sales, but realize that I'm going to have to supplement that dine-in with other revenue sources. So what I might need to do will be to revamp my website that really pushes, hey, we've got this curbside pickup. Maybe I move into small catering. I don't do big catering, but maybe I do small caterings. Caterers are doing very, very well right now. Where maybe I go in and instead of doing catering for 100 people, maybe I have small time catering where I do come in and serve 8 or 10 people, you know, Sunday evening meals with family and the grandparents, you know. The other one would be delivery. I was watching, I don't know if of course a lot of us are stuck at home right now, but if you watch TV, I'm seeing like HelloFresh where they deliver food to your door.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, that's getting to be very, very popular. Some of the weight
So
loss where, hey, I can just order my food. I don't have to go to the grocery store and they're going to deliver it to my house. And if I eat this, I'm going to lose 35 pounds in 6 weeks. So people are getting very, very creative on that. So,
that is so true.
businesses, you're going to have to kind of adapt to it.
Yeah,
There's other opportunities. If I have a business, let's say I have a cleaning company, if I could specialize and if I want to segment what I do, instead of just being a generalized cleaning company, I can say, okay, I'm going to specialize in restaurants and I'm going to make sure that I comply with, we unfortunately right now we have OSHA guidelines, state guidelines, and sometimes those two are not on the same page. But if I have a cleaning company, I can brand and market myself strictly to restaurants. And I say, my business, we're going to come in, you're going to have the cleanest restaurant on, the Gulf, instead of having the best shrunk po' boy, which is what everybody kind of goes after. Your thing could be, hey, we will make sure you have the cleanest restaurant on the Gulf Coast.
yeah,
We are, that kind of thing. So there's
yeah.
opportunities out there. You just have to kind of adjust. And the whole thing about these adjustments is really giving customers what they want.
Yeah.
Just because, this is pre-COVID-19, but, the whole idea is if you're going to start a business, a lot of people start off with the notion that I'm going to open this business because this is what I want. That's a good starting point. But then from there, you have to go out and talk to your market segment and figure out, okay, I think this is what you want. Now, what is it that you really want? Then you kind of go through and adjust your business model around that. And then once you get that in place, that's what you brand, because that's what's going to get people in the door.
Mitch, when we talk about the startup, that I think a lot of people have a passion and a lot of zeal to just, they want to run out there and just open up and have the ribbon cutting. And it's so much more than prior to and after the ribbon cutting. I like to turn the page and actually talk about, I already have a business, and I think the job number lost right now is at 27 million in our country right now. And you guys, we're talking 6-7 weeks. I mean, the job numbers are just tanked, and the unemployment is at 14.5%. And you have employees, and how do you, I have a business, but what can I do now? What can the business center help me with this post or this in the current time with COVID-19?
Well, it depends. If you have had to close down, and let's say I've been closed down for 6 weeks, a month, 6 weeks, and it may be another. Depending on what business you're in, some businesses right now they're kind of starting to move into that relaunch phase. Other businesses, it may be another month before they're able to get back and going. But one of the crucial things would be to figure out, okay, if I'm in this relaunch mode, I have been shut down for, 6 weeks or so, then when you relaunch, we have to really go back in and look at capital requirements for the relaunch. So I would take a look to say, okay, if I'm anticipating that I'm going to relaunch in, let's say, 30 days, I have to figure out, okay, how much cash do I have available? How much will I have in my business checking account? And then from there, I would be looking at, okay, going into my relaunch, how much additional capital do I need?
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a payroll, or if I have to buy inventory, or if I have to do some marketing, or I need to upgrade my website, or those kinds of things, we kind of go back into that. Okay, what would be the capital requirements for your relaunch? Because one thing we wouldn't want to see happen would be, okay, I go in, I do the relaunch, and I've got $500 in my checking account, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be slammed with business, but we don't know how customers are going to react to a reopening.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping that you reopen and you're like, oh my God, this is great. I am run over with customers. But if you reopen and that doesn't happen, and then all of a sudden, okay, we reopened, and then in 2 weeks, I've got to make my payroll. we want to make sure that you're properly, as best we can, you're properly capitalized for that reopening.
Got it. Got it.
And we do the
The
same thing.
question.
Same thing. If somebody's starting a business, one of the things that we do once we get into looking at the financial side of the business is we go in and we figure out, okay, if you're going to launch this business, we need to figure out capital requirements for the launch.
Yeah.
Relaunch, we're looking at, okay, really, what are the capital requirements for the relaunch?
And that's so important. I know that you guys have these classes that you provide. What are your plans on relaunching your workshops so that an entrepreneur or business owner can come and learn more about cash flow and the Google analytics and how to market themselves differently? What do you guys plan to do?
Well, we do the on-demand workshops. I think we have 5 on-demand workshops right now. I mean, we do have first steps to starting a business, how to write a business plan. In my opinion, the most important course that we have on demand is something that's called cash flow projections for your business plan.
Absolutely.
And then one of the things that we have a new initiative that we have put into place that we're working on is kind of the relaunch initiative for businesses that have been closed down for a period of time. So within that, we if you're going to go in and you're going to do some forecasting with some assumptions, we have to figure out, okay, if you were doing, let's say I have a business, and I always, when I do these examples, I like to throw out round numbers, but let's say I have a business where I'm doing 50,000 a month in sales. Okay. And then we go in and we look at the particular industry that you're in and we say, okay, well, based on that, we think that your revenue for the first 18 months is going to drop by 40%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So instead of having 50,000 come in, we're looking at 30,000 coming in per month. And then from there, we cash flow it out to see, okay, at that point, can you at least hit your break-even point and get a paycheck?
Right, right. And how many, like I think we talked about, how many hamburgers or how many service items do I have to sell to get to that number?
Yeah,
Prior to,
yeah, because I mean, here's the deal. If I go in and I do a forecast, I mean, I can go in, I can say, okay, pre-COVID-19, I was doing 50,000 based on industry information that's coming in. My sales are going to drop by 40%. So that means that I have 30,000 coming in, and then from there, what I would do, and we do this in the one-on-one counseling. So again, those on-demand workshops, those are to lay a foundation of information so that when somebody engages the services for one-on-one counseling, that foundation is there and we can get some very, very good work done. So for me, I would take that information and say, okay, let's look at this. And based on moving forward, what is your new break-even point? That's the point that you can pay all your bills, and included in that break-even point would be the money that you need to make so that you can get a paycheck and support, whoever you're supporting. If it's wife and kids, and you say, you know what, if I'm going to do this business, I've got to clear $3,000 a month, or I can't pay my personal bills. Then we include that as an expense when we go in and do the forecasting. The great thing about break even is it gives you a number that you have to hit. If I know that, hey, I've got this business and I've got to bring in 25,000 a month to pay my bills and get a paycheck. If I know that number, the odds of me hitting that number are much greater than if I'm like, well, I have no idea. I'm just going to hope for the best and open up my doors, sell stuff, pay my bills, and hopefully there's enough money at the end of that I've paid all my bills and I get a paycheck. So we do a lot of that upfront work, which is, okay, if I'm in the relaunch mode, capital requirements, then go in and figuring out, okay, how much do you need to do in sales to pay all of your bills and get a paycheck?
Well, let's say, so out of it, I mean, when we talk about being vigilant or, having bounce back, I mean, I always looked at it as, in all of opposition, there's always an opportunity.
Sure.
And with entrepreneurs and small business owners, I feel that we as a small business owner as well, I'm always looking for that edge, or hey, how do I get access to funding, or how do I get I feel like right now a very important thing with small business owners would probably be a line of credit, because of the unknown. We don't really know. Also, short-term overdraft coverage, just in case things really get really crazy and you have some type of coverage with your banking, with your bank,
Yeah, you
and
can
conserving cash.
negotiate with your suppliers. You know, the suppliers, they've got inventory that they have to move. And it may be a situation where you say, hey, you know what, I need the inventory. I'm getting ready to relaunch. Could I get some good terms on this where you take your payments out, you know, at some point in the future so that you can get up and going? And that kind of
Yeah,
gets into that creative financing piece.
yeah,
You know, the other things that we've been telling some of our clients that have existing businesses is, you know, if you have loans and a lot of lenders have done this automatically, you know, go in and ask your lender if you can put up, you know, move into interest only payments for a period of time. We've had clients that have gone to their landlord and said, hey, I'm shut down. I'm not going to be able to make a rent payment for X amount of time. And see if you can negotiate that. Of course, the problem with that is your landlord probably has a note to the bank as well. So it's kind of a tricky situation, but a lot of times going in and negotiating in good faith, you know, it helps with that, certainly with that relaunch piece. Now, a typical loan, you know, if I'm looking to start a business, typical loan, the lender was going to want to see a written business plan, kind of that narrative. Hey, this is the name of the company. This is where we're located. This is what we're going to be selling. This is our, you know, who we think our target market is. These are our competitors. You know, this is how we're going to brand the business, those kinds of things. And then the other half of the loan package that they want to see are the financial projections. So they want to see capitalization requirements to kick the business off. And then they want to see some projections just simply on sales and expenses, and does the business turn a profit or a projected profit? And of course, right now with certain industries disrupted like they are, when you put that number at the top, which is gross sales, how do we come up with that number? And again, that gets back to that market research or that industry research. Mm-hmm. We do have a group that's going in and they're kind of looking at the top industries for the businesses that we serve so that we can go in and say, hey, we've got some good data on if somebody goes in and they open up a XYZ, you know, this is what we anticipate the gross sales are going to be probably for about the next 18 months until we get you know, kind of move into this next segment. But that's the big number. Anytime you're going to start a business and apply for a loan, everybody wants to see, okay, how much are you projecting you're going to do in sales? And again, we're putting together a team to go in and help kind of get good information. So when somebody goes and applies to a loan with a lender, the lender can look and say, okay, you're projecting you're going to do $25,000 a month in sales. Where did you come up with that number? And then from there, we can provide them with that research.
And all of this is great information. I want to ask you a question about some of your, I kind of call it, like, I guess it's like they're your big brother in some sense. The Small Business Administration. How would a business owner capitalize on walking into your door, and their long-term goal would be to be that 8A company down the road? What is the benefits, and how do you guys, can you explain that relationship that you guys have?
Yeah, the SBA, the 8A program is a program for existing businesses. I think you have to be in business for 2 years. It's a fairly large packet of information that you have to put together. And then there's a and again, that goes through the SBA office. So we don't necessarily go through the entire packet, but within that packet, there's certain things that we can assist the client with, because they're going to need a business plan. They're going to need some financial projections. Within that packet, you know, sometimes if you look at the terminology that they use, it's not real easy to understand. So we can explain within that packet what the SBA is going to be looking for. So it takes some time. You get all of that put together, and then you submit that to the SBA. Now, one of the organizations that will, in the past, and I think they're still doing this, that will help with those 8A certifications, is the Mississippi Contract Procurement Centers. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're interested in doing business with the federal government. That's through something called SAM. They help you get registered in SAM, and they have bid matching opportunities where you can go in and you get registered in SAM. You have NAICS code that kind of codes your business for what you do, and they will send you bid leads on contracts that are available through the government. It can be a good chunk of those are Department of Defense contracts.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
I can share my screen and show you their website. Would that be helpful? So
yeah, you can,
they assist with
let's,
SAM, and then they also assist with 8A applications. And within
yeah,
that
let's
application, we will
quote the site and then share the screen so that we can pin it into our Facebook chat here. So what's the site first? And then let's go ahead and share the screen.
Okay, that's let's see here. That's our website. Give me just a second here. Maybe I was on the right side. Okay, Mississippi, Mississippi Contract Procurement Center. All right, and that's it right here. And again, if you're interested in doing business with the government, you would go in and get registered with the, if you look kind of in the lower left-hand portion of the screen, Mississippi Procurement Technical Assistance Program. That's where you do that at. And then they also assist with 8A applications. And again, within that 8A application, we help with part of that. Primarily the getting the business plan and some financial projections, which I believe is required within that 8A application. And then for a lot of small businesses, if you're just getting into doing business with the federal government, you have what's called the prime contractor, and then you have the sub contractors. And a lot of times to get those contracts, what you would do is you come in and be a sub for the prime when you first get into it. And then as your business grows, then you would be in a position to apply for some of the prime contracts.
Got it.
And they're a statewide organization. So you can come in here, you can find go to their map, and then they've got to where the different centers are located. I think they have about 4 or 5 contract centers around the state. The one that, of course, now I'm on the Gulf Coast, so the one that I'm most familiar with would be the South Mississippi Contract Procurement Center. They're located in Biloxi, but like I said, they have they're charged with providing services throughout the state.
Yeah, that's awesome. So always some of the questions about, providing service and helping small businesses. What's the cost of a small business to walk in and get some assistance from you guys?
There is no charge. So we get funding. Half of our funding comes through the SBA. It's appropriated by Congress. It goes to the SBA, Small Business Administration, and then it comes to us. The way that it works, though, is for every dollar we get from the SBA, we have to get $1 in cash match on the state side. So, within the state of Mississippi, we have small business development centers. There's University of Mississippi, there's Mississippi State, Jackson State, USM. We have East Central Community College, Hines Community College, and also the city of Jackson. Okay. So those are what we call our host institutions, and they put up basically the cash match so that we can utilize those federal funds. So we like to say that all of our services are provided at no charge through your federal and state tax dollars.
That's awesome. And I mean, that is such good information, especially with during COVID and trying to bounce back from, recovery of whatever however way you may have been affected. But we have these free services here and certified business counselors throughout their organization to help give you some guidance and even give you some tips on maybe even direction on how to kind of steer your business. And so it's so important to have that resource. I do like to pause for a second, you guys, and really jump into the current business owners that have employees and they are looking at going after the PPP grant or the PPP loan. And we do have a special guest that's sitting and waiting. I don't want his time to be null and void by just hanging out with us, but I do want to have John come on and just kind of explain some of the CARES Act and the PPP, and really kind of dig into that just a little bit on just how would an entrepreneur or the current business owner maximize that program. John, thank you.
When they initially rolled out these disaster loans, they have what they call the EIDL and the triple P. As far as I know, the EIDL is only open to agricultural right now. It's not open to any other businesses. And what we've been hearing is that they received so much on the EIDL side, and then I'll get to the PPP. On the EIDL side, they had such a demand for it that they ran out of funding, and the additional funding appropriated is actually going to the original demand, if that makes any sense. So they don't have any room for any new applications. The payroll protection, or the triple P loan, as we call it, is still open as far as I know. There hasn't been a lot of demand for it, and I'm thinking the reason being is that a lot of people realized that they couldn't bring back at least 75% of their staff, because a lot of people that were applying for that triple P loan were restaurants and service industry, and they can't open their dining rooms, or they can't have large crowds, and they don't have any demand for labor. Therefore, and they don't want to have a loan, because if you can't meet the requirements of the triple P loan as they're stated now, then it won't be granted funds. It will not be forgiven. It will be a loan, and the interest rate can range from anywhere from 1% to 4%. Right now, it's at 1%. So when they first rolled this out, we saw a high demand for the triple P loans. A lot of people got those loans. This second round of it, haven't seen such a demand for them, and I'm thinking the reason being some of the banks have backed off of offering those the triple P loans, or forgivable loan as we call it, because the clientele applying for it in the second round doesn't want a loan, or they can't meet the forgivable aspects of it, as they state. And I personally seem to think that they're going to relax some of those requirements on the triple P loan, and but we haven't seen that happen yet.
I got you.
The other thing that's happened is we just got notice that there's going to be an additional, I believe it's 300 million. Is that correct, John?
Yes.
Available to small business, and there was a press conference. There were press release that came out yesterday, and that's going to come out. That's going to flow out through MDA, Mississippi Development Authority. So that was just appropriated by the legislature. We got word on that. And then we're just still waiting on the guidelines, how, who qualifies. It's going to be really for your real mom and pop type of organizations from what I'm reading. So they will put together a process of how you apply for the loan and terms and what the requirements are, that kind of thing. And that should be coming out fairly soon, I would think. But again, that will be an additional funding source that will come out through the Mississippi Development Authority.
The whole aim of the triple P loan was to keep people from inundating unemployment, and but when these local towns, everybody did the social distancing or closed the restaurants down. A lot of the people initially got that money thinking they were going to bring their people back within 15 days, couldn't meet the requirements. I meant to say that originally. So if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah. The quarantine has gone on so long that it's made that 8-week PPP window that you had to spend if you got your funding, you were supposed to spend it within 8 weeks. Well, it's hard to spend if you're not open. If I got my PPP loan and then they said, okay, you got to spend it in 8 weeks and you have to get back to your employment levels pre-COVID-19, that's kind of hard to do. And then even if you were able to open up your doors, there are a number of restaurants that we've talked to have said, my people are making more on unemployment than they were working here. So I'm having a hard time getting my numbers back up so that I can get that portion of the PP loan forgiven.
And here in Oxford, obviously, we're a college town. We have 20,000 students or whatnot, or 20,000 people that are normally up at our restaurants gone, and so, I mean, that's another issue. A lot of the labor that they were paying here in Oxford had to go home. And so that's a lot of the issue we see here, especially being a college town.
Yeah, in college towns, I mean, everybody's hurting, but I know that we have one counselor, a couple of counselors in Hattiesburg at USM, and it's a rough go. And we know that because, again, a town like Oxford, you have 20,000 people that all of a sudden are not there that are normally there. The economies are taking a big hit.
Right. And, so the PPP may not be the best avenue for some business owners. What about the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan? Just really quickly, we got about 7 or 8 minutes before we can try to go into some type of a quick speed round of questions. But if you could elaborate on the EIDL.
Yeah.
Well, the EIDL, and Mitch, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not accessible at this time.
That is correct. And from what I understand, it's only open to agriculture. Yep.
And it's our guess that they're done with it. We're just guessing at that. That's my center, because based on what we've heard in the north half of the state, I don't know that it's gonna be open again. So I mean, we urge people early on, and obviously it's a moot point now, but we urge people early on they were gonna wait around, see if they could reopen, and we urge them to go on and apply, and a lot of them are glad they did. The one thing about the triple P loan, there's no downside to it. There's a good side; it could be forgivable. The only bad part of it is it'd turn into a loan, but it'd be cheap money at 1%. That would be the only downside to it. So,
wow.
Yeah, and I think the next opportunity for capital for small businesses, real opportunity for your real, what I consider small businesses would be very, very small. It's me, or just me, or me and a couple of employees, that kind of thing. Will probably be that funding, that $300 million that's been allocated to the Mississippi Development Authority for real small businesses. So I'm thinking that they're going to move on that pretty quick.
So with that program, ideally, you do have a lot of entrepreneurs that have a company, and they probably provide a service, and they're a one-man band, but they have a bunch of sub or 1099 employees. How would a company like that maximize these programs?
well, if they've got 1099 employees, each one of them would have to apply in their own individual name. If you're talking as far as the triple P, that's a W-2 employee type scenario, and then the 1099 can apply, but they'll just be independent contractors or self-employed.
Got it.
We ran into that a lot initially.
What about the owner of that company?
The owner can apply, but each 1099 subcontractor's got to apply on their own. The owner can't apply and pay. You see what I'm saying? Pay 1099 wages. The subcontractors of the 1099 would have to apply for themselves, and they
got it. I think we're getting really close to being out of time here. Before we do leave, John, would you let us know what you do and how you fit into our conversation today? I failed to write your information down, so I wanted to make sure.
Sure. I work with Mitch. I'm in the north half of the state. Mitch and I used to work together in the same office, but Mitch has since returned home. But I'm a business counselor with the SBDC on the Ole Miss campus. There's currently 3 of us. There's myself and Derek Stevens and Nancy McKee. And there's actually 4 of us. I'm sorry. Myself, Derek Stevens, Nancy McKee, and Rick Snyder. Rick is in the Hernando area.
Yeah, we have right now 20 business counselors around the state that do one-on-one counseling. So Carlos, could I show you the website real quick so people can see how to
Yeah,
get
yeah, we really do. We want to see your information and how people can go and find where to click to and get to your the South Mississippi.
Okay, so can you see the website?
Yes.
Okay, this is our website, and the website is mssbdc.org. And you see right here we have a tab that says COVID-19. So we have some kind of information. We try and keep this up to date. So I need information on funding, liquidity, tax changes, employment laws, health and safety, those types of things. So some stuff there. And then for existing business owners, if you wanted to be paired up with a counselor. Now, right now, everything we're doing is remote. We've been sent home and not told not to go to the office, but all you have to do is click the register for counseling, type in your email address, hit continue, and then at that point you will hit our system, and then somebody will contact you within 48 hours.
It is just that fast.
It's that fast. These are the locations. This is our map. Those are the different service centers that we have, and you can see this is where everybody's located. So yeah, the website's got a lot of good information on it. If you're interested in watching some of the workshops, if you're thinking about simply starting a business, you can go to mssbdc.org. These are the workshops that we have on demand. So you can see we've got starting a business first steps, business plan, cash flow, get productive with Google's digital tools, digital marketing for the future, managing your business remotely in times of uncertainty. And so let's say that I said, okay, I'm thinking about starting a business. I want to watch that particular video on demand. I just click the register button. Again, enter my email address, hit continue, and then it'll get you registered and send you a link to watch the video. And again, the information that we have on the website, this information is changing almost on a daily basis. So we really try and keep good updated information on here.
That is awesome. And what we'll do, we'll tag or pin the websites to our chat line and to our Facebook page, and continue to be vigilant and continue to move forward in your business. We really appreciate you guys, John,
Carlos,
Mitch, for spending time with us.
And anybody that's watching this, if you need assistance, we need information, go to our website. And if you would like to be paired up with a counselor, click that request for counseling link. And then, like I said, at that point, you'll be in our system and somebody will contact you within 48 hours.
Yes, absolutely. And you guys, in this time, let's continue to be very, very vigilant and encouraging all our small business owners to get back and get open if possible. Most importantly, being safe and clean. But with this, we really appreciate you guys, John and Mitch, for spending time with us today. We're so excited about this. We try to continue to bring great content, great speakers that are experts in their field, and anything that we can do to help you guys, please reach out to us. At this time, we really appreciate you guys, and we thank you for joining us today. Until next time, my name is Carlos Bell, and the Legacy Business League is here to help you get ahead in life and create a legacy for your children's children's. Thank you guys, and have a good day.
Okay, thank
you very much.